In this lecture, we're going to take a look at the anatomy of the project that the WordPress create block script generates for us. So we gave the WordPress block script or create block script a name of curvy because that's what we wanted our block to be called. So the script has gone ahead and created a plugin called Curvy. So if we take a look at curvy and curvy.php, we can see our PHP file has already been named curvy. We have all of our plugin definition here at the top of our curvy.php. We have the plugin name, the description, and a bunch of other metadata associated with our plugin. Then if we scroll down in our curvy.php, we see we have a small PHP script here that essentially just registers our new block type. And if we take a look at the register block type function, we can see we're referencing the current directory followed by /build. So let's take a look then in the /build directory. We can navigate there by going to curvy and the build directory. Now this build directory is created whenever we run npm start or npm build. So if we take a look at our build directory then, we can see a bunch of compiled files, including this block.json. So this is what I meant in the last lecture in our package.json. Whenever we run our start and build scripts, this WP scripts will go ahead and build our entire project and output that compiled code into this build directory. Now, the really cool thing with the WordPress scripts package is, like I mentioned in the last lecture, it's got a bunch of boilerplate set up for us and a bunch of config set up for us, so we don't have to do much to get this up and running. And everything is going to work in the background for us. So for example, in our source directory, we have a block.json file here. So the WP script package is going to recognize that the source directory has a block.json file in here, and it's going to make sure it builds that block into the build directory. So if this all sounds too confusing, don't worry because this doesn't actually matter so much. All I'm trying to point out here is everything is built for us into the build directory. I'm just pointing out here all of the things that come out of the box with the WP scripts package. So if we take a look then at our curvy source and block.json, we can see again we have a bunch of metadata associated with this block. So if you remember in the last lecture, when we went to add a particular block using the block explorer, so again, let's walk through this again in the browser. In our WordPress dashboard, if we go ahead and add a new curvy block, let's hit the add block button here and browse all. We can see we've got these categories on the left-hand side. We have text, we've got media, we've got design, we've got widgets. So we are going to create our own category in this course. However, for now, we can see our curvy block is available in the widgets category. So if we take a look in our code at block.json, we can see we're referencing a widgets category, which means our block will be automatically assigned and available to us to view in the widgets category. If, for example, we updated this to design, then our curvy block will be available in the design category. So back in our code then, we can see we also have an icon that we can specify. Now we're going to be creating custom icons for some of our blocks in this course. However, if you want to use an icon where you're not bothered about creating a custom icon, then we can just reference the WordPress dash icons. So whenever we create a new block using the WordPress create block package, it will automatically give us a smiley icon. So if we wanted to update this, we can head on over to the developer docs in WordPress and specifically to the dash icons. And let's search for smiley in here and we can see that this is the exact icon we're rendering for our particular block. So you can do a search in here if you wanted to update your icon to use one of the built-in WordPress dash icons. However, for our curvy block, we're actually going to use a custom icon. So before we do any customizations and things, let's continue with our walkthrough of our code. So we can see in the block.json, we're referencing an editor script, an editor style, and a style. So these particular properties in our JSON object here are referencing the outputted build files. So the editor script is coming from this index.js file, and this is where we're registering our block type. And we can see we're using the register block type function, and we're referencing two files. We're referencing an edit and a save component. So at the top here, we're referencing edit and save. And these are both coming from the edit.js and save.js. So let's take a look at edit.js then. Let's open up edit.js and let's scroll down. And here we can see we have our hard-coded text. We've got curvy hello from the editor. Now, this is where we saw in our block editor, in our sample page where we added our first curvy block, we can see we have curvy hello from the editor. Now let's check as well to see where these styles are coming from. If we scroll to the top of the edit file, we can see we have this editor.scss. So by importing this Sass file, as part of our build process, this is going to be built into quote-unquote normal or vanilla CSS, and it will be output to, if we open our build directory, it's going to be output to index.css. Then in our block.json, we can see that's exactly what we're referencing. We're referencing the outputted index.css file. So remember, this needs to be referencing the outputted file from our build process. So we're referencing whatever file is available in this build directory, and it's index.css. Now, this editor style only applies to the block editor. If we want to add additional styles and front-end styles that our clients are going to see, we need to reference a style property. So editor style and style are different things. The style CSS file will be applied to both the editor and our actual client-facing page. However, the editor style will only be applied to our block editor. So our style CSS file, i.e. our style-index.css file, that's going to be applied to the editor and our client-facing page, this is going to be built from the style.scss file. So again, we don't really need to know any of this stuff. I just wanted to give you a quick background and overview of how our source directory files map to our build files. So this is already all set up in our block.json for us from the create block package when we created our new block. So the editor script, the editor style, and the style is already set up for us, as well as the source files that map to these particular build files. So all we really need to be concerned with is, in our source directory, any styles we add to editor.scss will be applied just to the WordPress backend and the WordPress block editor. However, any styles we apply to style.scss will apply to both the WordPress block editor and our front end, our client-facing page. So one last thing I want to show you is this save.js file. Now this is what gets saved to the WordPress database. And we can see here, we've got a paragraph tag and we've got curvy hello from the saved content. If we take a look in the browser again then, we can see we've got curvy hello from the editor. So we've already seen that in our edit.js file. But if we take a look at preview and preview in new tab, we can see we've got hello from the saved content. And we can confirm this by going back to our WordPress block editor in our WordPress dashboard for our sample page. Let's take note of our text here. We've got curvy hello from the editor. However, if we click on the extra menu options here and select the code editor, we can see we've got a paragraph tag here with the class WP block create block curvy with curvy hello from the saved content. So this is going to be directly saved. This snippet here will be directly saved to our WordPress database. So now that we've had a quick overview of the files associated with our block plugin, and we can see how each file is mapped in the build process, in the next lecture, we're actually going to update our WordPress plugin and set up the foundation to be able to add multiple blocks to our WordPress plugin. So we'll take a look at that in the next lecture.